Christian Greek scriptures had already been translated into Latin by the end of the 2nd century CE, they were also available in Egyptian by about the middle of the 3rd century. Ancient versions of the entire Bible. The Peshitta of Syriac-speaking people professing Christianity was in general use from the 5th century CE onward. The word Peshitta means simple. The Hebrew scripture portion was basically a translation from the Hebrew, probably made during the 2nd or 3rd century CE, though a later revision involved comparison with the Septuagint. Numerous Peshitta manuscripts are extant, the most valuable being a 6th or 7th century codex preserved at the Ambrosian Library in Milan, Italy. One Peshitta manuscript of the Pentateuch lacking Leviticus has a signed date corresponding to about 464 CE, and a palimpsest with Isaiah has the date 459,460 CE signed, making them the oldest dated Bible manuscripts in any tongue. Old Latin. This is the collective title Vetus Latina for the texts that reflect Latin translations generally prior to Jerome's Vulgate. These probably appeared from the latter part of the 2nd century CE onward, but the earliest evidence of the Latin Bible is from Carthage, North Africa, at least by 250 CE. The Hebrew scriptures were translated into Latin from the Greek Septuagint, not yet revised by Origen, but the Christian scriptures were rendered from the original Greek. Scholars usually refer to two basic types of Old Latin text: the African and the European. The earliest extant biblical manuscripts date from the 4th and 5th centuries CE Latin Vulgate. The Latin Vulgate Vulgata Latina is a version of the entire Bible by the foremost biblical scholar of that time, Eusebius Hieronymus, better known as Jerome. He first undertook a revision of the Old Latin version of the Christian scriptures in comparison with the Greek text. He began with the Gospels, which were published in 383 or 384 CE. Just when he completed his revision of the Old Latin Christian scriptures is uncertain. Between about 384 and 390 CE he made two revisions of the Old Latin Psalms, based on the Greek Septuagint. The first is now lost, but what is called the Roman Psalter may represent the Old Latin text he corrected. The second is called the Gallican Psalter, named for its adoption in Gaul. Jerome also translated the Psalms directly from Hebrew, this work being called the Hebrew Psalter. He began to revise other books of the Hebrew scriptures from the Greek, but apparently never completed such a revision, preferring to translate directly from Hebrew, though also referring to Greek versions. Jerome labored on his Latin translation from the Hebrew from about 390 to 405 CE. Jerome's version was originally received with general hostility, and only gradually did it gain wide approval. With its later general acceptance in Western Europe, it came to be called the Vulgate, denoting a commonly received version, the Latin Vulgatus meaning common, well known. Jerome's original translation underwent revisions, the Roman Catholic Church making the one of 1592 its standard edition. Thousands of Vulgate manuscripts are extant today. Other ancient translations. As Christianity spread, other versions were required. At least by the 3rd century CE the first translation of the Christian Greek scriptures O Textoi Acute Muritra Longo, Vessels 1154. Perhaps about the 4th or 5th century CE there are several Old Arabic versions of the scriptures. Translations of parts of the Bible into Arabic may date from as early as the 7th century CE, but the earliest record is that of a version made in Spain in 724 CE. The Slavonic version was made in the 9th century CE, and has been attributed to two brothers, Cyril and Methodius. Vessels. Hollow receptacles, some having lids. New 19. 15. Used to hold liquids or dry materials. 1 Chi 17. 10. As 1. 7. Ja 40. 10. Many were made of clay, wood, metal, or stone. A 6. 28. 15. 12. New 7. 85. 1 Chi 10. 21. Mount 26. 7 common containers included jars and vessels of the bowl sort Issa 22. 24. Bags or sacks Ge 42. 25. Hag 1. 6. Baskets Mr. 8. 19. 20. 2 Co 11. 33. Skin bottles JG 4. 19. Bu 5. 37, 38, and buckets. New 24. 7. Joe 4. 11. See utensils. Jars, jugs, and flasks. The jar, generally a deep cylindrical vessel having 1, 2, or even 4 handles, was usually earthenware ISA 30. 14. Bar 4. Turin, sometimes, made of stone. Jo 2. 6. A common large jar in the days of the kingdoms of Judah and of Israel may have been approximately 65 centimeters 25 inches high with a diameter of about 40 centimeters 16 inches. Some jars were equipped with spouts. 2 Chi 4. 2 jars might be kept on a Standler 11. 35 and were used to hold such liquids as water or oil. 1 Chi 18. 33. 2 Chi 4. 2 large ones often being employed for wine. 1 Sa 10. 3. 25. 18. 2 Sa 16. 1. Ja 13. 12. Also dry materials, such as flour, were stored in jars. 1 Chi 17. 12. Sometimes documents, including deeds of purchase, were placed in earthenware jars, or vessels, for safekeeping. Ja 32. 13-15. A number of ancient manuscripts were thus preserved in jars in the Qumran area near the Dead Sea, among the manuscripts being the well-known Dead Sea Scroll of Isaiah. Water jugs 1 Sa 26. 11, 12, 16. 1 Chi 19. 6 and flasks 1 Sa 10. 1. 1 Chi 14. 3. 2 Chi 9. 3. Ja 19. 1, 10 were commonly earthenware. Bowls, dishes, and platters. Bowls were used to hold such liquids as wine. M6. 6, milk JG 5. 25, and water JG 6. 38. They were made of clay, stone, and metal. Some banquet bowls were ceramic. As indicated by finds of archaeologists, in the days of the kingdoms of Judah and of Israel, ceramic bowls averaged about 20 centimeters 8 inches in height, had a diameter inside the rim of approximately 40 centimeters 16 inches, and sometimes had 4 handles. In comparison with bowls, dishes and platters likely were shallow. X 25. 29. 37. 16. New 4. 7. 7. 84, 85. Mount 14. 8, 11. Mr. 6. 25, 28. Cups. The cup, a comparatively small vessel for drinking liquids, was usually made of clay, though sometimes of metal. PR 23. 31. Ja 35. 5. Mr. 9. 41. Some cups were molded to fit the hand. Usually they were handleless shallow bowls. Those equipped with handles could also serve as dippers. Figurative use. The congregator indicated that at death the jar at the spring is broken. Apparently this jar is the heart, which in death ceases to receive and transmit the flow of blood throughout the body. It becomes as useless as a broken jar that can hold no water. Also the brain, alluded to in connection with the figure of a golden bowl. Evidently the cranium with its brain content, ceases to function and undergoes dissolution, gets crushed. EC 12. 6, 7. Vessels. The scriptures often refer to people as vessels. Act 9. 15. Christians are frail earthen vessels entrusted with a glorious treasure, the ministry. 2 Co 4. 7. Women are designated as the weaker vessel. Therefore, Christian husbands, by taking into consideration their wives' physical and biological limitations, as did Jehovah in the law given to Israel 18. 19. 20. 18. Act according to knowledge, assigning them honor as to a weaker vessel, the feminine one. 1 P 3. 7. An individual should keep separate from vessels lacking honor persons who do not conduct themselves aright and should pursue a course in harmony with Jehovah's O text to acute miritra longo. Vine 1155. Dishon would bring to God. Jesus prayed that this cup pass away from him, if possible. Nevertheless, he was willing to submit to Jehovah's will and drink it. Mount 26. 39, 42. Joe 18. 10, 11 Jehovah's assigned portion, or cup, for Jesus meant not only suffering, but also Jesus' baptism into death climaxed by his being resurrected to immortal life in heaven. Luke 12. 50. Row 6. 4, 5. Heb 5. 7 It was, therefore, also the cup of grand salvation for Christ. PS 116. 13 According to the divine will, the cup that Jesus Christ was given to drink he also shares with the little flock of his joint heirs of the kingdom. Luke 12. 32. Mr. 10. 35-40. Village. Sea city. Vine. A plant with long, slender twining stems that creep along the ground or climb by means of tendrils, the most common variety being the grapevine Vitis vinifera. The Hebrew word Jephon generally refers to the wine vine New 6. 4. JG 13. 14, an exception being the wild vine that produced wild goods. 2 Chi 4. 39 The Greek word nampe-los refers to the grapevine, and the word nam-pe-lon refers to a vineyard. The history of viticulture begins with the statement, Noah proceeded to plant a vineyard. Ge 9. 20 Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine to set before Abraham, proving that grapes were grown in the land of Canaan before 1933 BCE. Ge 14. 18 Egyptian inscriptions depict grape picking and the treading of wine presses in the 2nd millennium BCE. The pharaohs of the time had official cupbearers. Ge 40. 9-13, 20-23 The Egyptian winemaking industry, however, suffered a severe blow when Jehovah went killing their vine with a plague of hail.